person called me, or all of a sudden the next day or the next couple of days you run into the person in a weird location where you're like, what are the chances of me thinking of, let's just say, Make It Pop, and all of a sudden I'm in the mall, and then I run into her in Zara's, and be like, oh shit, Make It Pop. If I see Make It Pop the next day, if I'm thinking in my mind, like, I wonder what's up with Make It Pop. And then all of a sudden I run into her tomorrow in the mall at fucking 2 in the afternoon. I'm gonna go to her and be like, yo, what's up, girl? I'm glad you got the message. Now, if she's on point, she might say, if she really got the message, she'd be like, yeah, what's up? What's going on? And if not, if she doesn't know, she might just say something like, what message? And then I'll have to tell her, I thought of you yesterday, and all of a sudden you're standing in front of me. So I called you, so somehow the line worked that I needed to see you, and then we have to figure out what is the reason why that I thought about her and now I'm seeing her in person, and that's where the real manifesting happens at that point of what's the meaning for that, so this is what's happening and people are not noticing it, and the government knows this, so their job is to distort that and change that and alter that and put you in different groups and all that, because they don't want people to know that you have that power, because they're using you for that power in order so they could get what they want, in order for them to create the reality, this fake paradigm that they have going on. All right, this is what I'm talking about, bro. I'm confused, bro. I can't even understand what homeboy's saying, So, they use that against us because they don't want that when they're using our energy in order to create this reality for us to build, the cities that they want, for them to build, all the things that they're looking for, what they need, and to control us. They got us. We mad. We're helping them because we're building all the things that they're using to put us in a prison. They're using us. They got us building the schools where they're indoctrinating us with their lies. They got us building the churches where they're giving us the lies. They got us building, the city where you live in and the projects where you live in to keep you there, so then they could bring the drugs and the guns and have people fighting and killing each other. And everybody they're using, and they say, hey, you want a job, right? You want to work, you want to pay the bills to live better and all that. And they're using everybody, and they're fucking everybody while they're using it, because they use energy, knowing how powerful you are and how creative you can be. So it's a very wild situation that's happening out here, what they're doing to people and utilizing them, and you got the power. That's you.
People have a hard time coming to terms with how deep the manipulation goes as far as using us to create the reality they want, and it's like first you hear like 9/11 or something, you're like, oh my God, really? And that's just like one step of them messing with stuff. And then you have to go back to all our history has been manipulated, and all the good guys were actually bad guys, and vice versa. And it's just and there's programming and everything to get that done. Everything is programmed.
Yeah, that is correct, and I think sometimes it's hard for people to receive that, and it makes it difficult for them.
Oh God!
Even when I don't know what is the main thing they're talking about now in the news, because I don't watch the news. The only news I see.
They had the King's protest. That's another way to get a lot of people fucked up. All of them in the crowd, which I saw how they have in Chicago. I don't know. I could say by the media, but I don't trust it. Who knows? They're just showing it right. They showed a whole bunch of people literally crowded, and that's the way how things always tend to go. Let people getting sick, whatever happens. But they definitely got that. They're shutting the borders down. Supposedly they're going to shut them down till November. And nobody can come in or come out, supposedly. That was in one of the articles they also released. And some of these people that have their funds, all those people with food stamps and all that, they're basically not going to have no funds at all for November at all. nothing. Nobody's getting it due to the shutdown. So you're gonna have people. I mean, this is like the stuff that we've been talking about, stereo. Like people have to be prepping for all their food, how they're gonna do all these lockdowns, these systems things. You know, depending on what they decide to do, it's gonna go crazy. And then I think Donald Trump was supposedly, basically, I think that man's probably prepping for his so-called rival or death, because he was talking about making some arc of Trump, I think in the Lincoln Memorial, something he said. By Washington, I think he said. So he's basically trying to build himself a memorial, I guess, close to the sacrificial statues that are around. I think that's the thing. And then they're talking about the 3-1 Atlas coming into play, where all these politicians, actors, individuals, presidents are going to supposed to be in the Bohemian Grove doing the cremation care ritual on the supposedly so-called day for the Atlas, when it supposedly is going to be done at the same time. So those are basically the things that are in the topic right now.
It's so long. Like when that guy was killed, Charlie Kirkwood, I had no clue who he was. And I'm proud to say I had no clue who he was.
She's proud that she wasn't a part of his manipulation.
Like, even just, people that waste their time analyzing it, like the psyops. Like they get that it's a psyop, but then they spend like 3 hours on a show like analyzing why it's a psyop. It's like, you're doing what they want. You're still wasting your time and your energy on distractions, instead of really figuring out what you need to do to get yourself out of this trap.
And the thing is, for me, is that even if you can't figure out, because remember, this what we talk about is not for everybody. I come to know this and I realize it. So to me, is even if you can't figure it out, it's okay, because it's late in the game. It depends. It's up to the individual. It's not late for the individual to have realization, and collectively, it's late in the game. You're not gonna beat the system and what they're doing. You're just not. This is the most weirdest thing for me when it comes to things like these religion fanatics and these Jesus fanatics, or these beings that are not doing nothing to help the situation. Like, I don't know what more that the system needs to do to people for them to realize that all these characters that they've been praying to and claiming, whether it's Allah, Yeshua, Yahweh, Jehovah, all these false characters that people are claiming are not doing nothing, because every day they're suppressing you more. They're doing more things in order to tighten up the news, whether it's all the things that Make It Pop says and what we've spoken about. So for me, I just think that if you cannot get on board with it, at least live your best life. At least do that. At least wake up tomorrow and say, today's a good day, and then move accordingly. Do the things you like to do. Be around the people you like to be around. At least do that. And that benefits everybody if you could just at least do that. You don't have to know what I know, Make It Pop know, or Trish. You don't have to know none of that. All you need to do is start appreciating yourself. Start appreciating what you see in the mirror. Stop doing the things that you don't like. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like these certain people that be around you, don't be around them. If you don't like waking up to the person you're with, stop being with that person. If you don't like the job that you're in, change your job. And people continuously do things to feed the beast that they don't like to do for whatever it is. They call it justifying the means. And are the means being justified? Really? At some point, are you actually compromising against your truth? Because most people just compromise themselves against their truth. They say, I'd rather stay working because I'm making a lot of money, and then you always complaining, and that's not helping you, and that's not helping the overall energy source that everybody's got to walk around, especially if they're 6 degrees from you. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be damaging to actually them to some degree, and dependent on those people, how much they're going through shit, it could affect them either more or less. So, I just think that people just need to really get it together. If not, stay out the way, because when shit hits the fan and it goes the shit turns lawless, I'm telling you, I'm not gonna have a problem of taking out anybody that gets next to me that's not in alignment with what I'm doing at that point. I will personally put you down. I'm going to be putting people down if it gets to that, and it's going to be annoying because you've been told, you've been warned, you know, and it's not going to be my problem that you're going through this now, because if you try to take from me for no reason, for me not bothering you, I am going to be putting people down. It's just what it is, you know. It's something I did in my past that I changed, and if I have to go back to that person because people want to start bugging out because of the system, they allow the system to create the ignorance, then I would just, you want to say,
He's admitting to having somebody kill
you're
people.
not going to take me out with some stupid shit, you know. It's just not going to happen, you know. I mean, I'm not saying that the government can't take me out. Of course, they're strong, and I'm not going against them. I'm not going against the government. I don't like what they're doing. And I learned a long time ago, I'm not against them no more. I just don't like what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? I can't do nothing about what they're doing anymore. I could do something about it personally, me. You know, I could fix myself. I could master myself. And then I could start aligning myself to appropriate frequencies that benefit my reality. And I'm not going against them. I'm not doing the Million Man March. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad. I don't give a shit about Charlie Kirk. I don't care about Candace Owens. I don't care about Bill Gates. I don't like what none of these people are doing. All these people are full of shit. I mean, I've been warning people about Trump for the longest. You remember that Make It Pop? You know, when people were on the Trump bandwagon, when he was going into office and people were like raving him and saying he was that, and I was telling people,
They were idolizing worship. And they were like, yeah, y'all know. I said, oh, y'all on some dumb shit.
Yeah, I said it clearly. I said, this guy's going to usher the New World Order correctly. He's going to be the guy that's going to put you through the telecommunication company. He's going to put you on the digital ID. He's going to be that guy. And people were like, nah. I said, for 100%, I know that he was going to be that guy. This wasn't me suggesting. This wasn't me, you know, just assuming. I knew. And I know important people around me that were telling me, you are right. This is or sharing the information like, no, this is his job. You know, that's his job. That's what he's going to do. Anybody ever see that guy on Instagram? Some people be sending me his stuff, and I follow him for a long time. He is annoying. Me and him went back and forth already. So that guy that claims he's the 7th generation Illuminati, that he's always wearing the mask.
Oh, really?
You ever seen that guy?
You did it? Seriously? You did
Yeah.
it? Holy fuck.
Yeah, I went back and forth with him, and he said something, and I said something back in the comment, and he tried to say something to me. I said, boy, I told him, dude, you're a clown. I said, first of all, you wear this mask like nobody knows who you are. I was like, you got all these tattoos and all that. You act like nobody's going to figure out who you are, from voice recognition, from your tattoos, you know, from your background and all that. Not me personally, because I don't know him. I don't give a fuck if a meteor hits that, a fake meteor hits him in the head. You know, I don't care. And he says things that we talked about years ago. And he says it like it's some profound information because he claims that he comes from the Illuminati, when he doesn't. I was like, bro, we know this. We know this already. You're not even saying nothing that we don't know. You know what I'm saying? You're not a genius. You know what I'm saying? If you being in the Illuminati, please tell me something serious, because if what you're saying is you're claiming it's serious, we already know that. Everybody in this motherfucker probably knows the shit that he says. Even the people that don't be on that type of time in here might be like, yeah, but we heard this in here 4 years ago. I'm saying it. He's saying that shit with authenticity, Rickard, I have to show you. I have to get the link. I don't know. Make it pop. You got his Instagram, and you can post.
Yeah, let me go check. Hold on.
So you can see Raekwon, and you can see, and listen, he's not saying like bad shit, and he scenes from pictures. Actually, somebody tried to put him on blast, so I don't know how true it is, that he tried to post a picture. And he was in wherever he's at in his house, and he showed a picture of he said his mother. If I'm not mistaken, I think he said his mother or his grandmother. It's one of the two, his mother, his grandmother, and she was in, that famous party that the Rothschild, there's a famous party that there's pictures in the net that the Rothschilds throw, this ceremony with the
The shifting faces, those shifting faces, yeah.
Right, with the eyes thing and all that. And he said that that was his mother or grandmother with some guy, and her name was LeBaron something. The Baroness something, stuff like that. Somebody tried to say in the chat that in the comments that, bro, that's this person, that is not your mother, and this, and who knows?
You know what it looks like? It looks like the same individual that I spoke to that was in Clubhouse, which it looks like. I'm gonna say it kind of looks like it because the fact is that the individual has the house all wooded up, right? So the same individual that said they was associated to the same people, and I'm like, wait a second, some of the stuff that this guy told me ends up being the same of the stuff that this individual is talking about, especially the house, because like I remember him sending me some stuff about the families and the crest and all that they were all related to them. It might be the same dude, but he really didn't show his actual face. He just showed like his feet and the whole of the household, which kind of like, wait a second, that household looks like the same pictures that he kind of said. I said, nah, maybe it can't be, but then who knows? Well, I forget it's the name of the avatar the guy is. What is his name? It goes by, I forget.
The guy I'm telling you to check his Instagram?
Yeah, what does it go by?
I forgot, but it's something like the 7th generation Illuminati.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, let me go check.
And then it's his name in the 7th generation Illuminati shit or something like that, you know. And like the point is for that, it's like you think that if my family, if you was in what he claims he's in and his family is, because when he talks about, he says we are doing this to you. He really speaks in that kind of like vernacular, like he's saying that I am part of them and this is what we're doing to you, and he's warning you about this are the things that we're doing to you that's happening. You don't think that these people would have stepped to him already, told him, yo, you better shut the fuck up, how about that one? And like they're not gonna know who he is. Like he got significant tattoos.
Oh, he goes by Angel Dust. By Angel Dust.
Angel Dust. I think he gets drugged up, maybe.
I've seen some of the stuff that he was put in there. Which one did you want me to check? Because he posted a couple of them.
No, just post the link to his bio so Raekwon can see, because she said who.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Give me a second.
Okay, hold on.
That play roles to get money and especially claiming to be from the bloodline families and stuff like that. So you have to, use your discernment.
Hold on, let me check. This thing might not even let me. Hold on. Post it over here. Hold on. You gotta go the other way around because I'm trying to share it. Well, let me copy it, so I gotta figure it the other way around. Hold on. Yeah, but he goes by Angel Dust. You know who's the mask that he has right now? He reminds me of a warrior. Hold on. Give me a second.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, Rusty.
Hey, Melody, do it right. Hey, you guys.
There it is. I think it's that one. Yeah. It's in the chat.
Oh, you posted the link?
Yeah,
And I want to. We posted it not because we care for you to follow this person, all that, and just listen to some of his reels of what he's saying, and it's everything that we've spoken about. I just try to figure out, like, I look forward to if I meet, which I have met some people that are some degree in that upper echelon. What degree they are, I don't know. And I know they're high up. I see the symbolism. Some of them wear these emblems, on they suits and all that? Because I've been in certain parties because, you know.
The guy, that Marilyn Manson wannabe motherfucker.
Right, so I've been, you know, around some of these people that actually treat me with great respect. You know, you'd be surprised. And I had conversations with them, and they have told me some weird shit that I have looked up, and I'll be like, hold on a second, you know, why would this person tell me that? You know, and they don't tell me like what they is and all that. I could just tell. And most of the time, when I'm having conversations with some of these individuals that I'm around me once in a while, depending what kind of event I'm in, you know, they do a lot of smiling when you ask the right question. You know what I'm saying? They don't do a lot of talking, and you ask the right question, like you're talking, and then you say something, and they do a lot of, so what do you think about that? And then you say, well, I think, and this and that, and they like smile, and they be like, well, you know, all this is possible. They say like things like that. They never really get into, or they'll suggest, they'll be like, well, you know, if you're really interested in that, maybe you should look up A, B, and C, and then you'd be like, wow, not really B and C, but they'd be like, maybe you should look up, you know, lockstep, let's just say. Maybe look up lockstep, and whatever you're talking about right now, that will answer that for you. And they'll do something like that. You know what I'm saying? And then it's up to the individual whether they choose to. Like me, I hear some shit like that. I'm going home, or I might walk away and go to the bathroom or something, and I'm gonna look it up right there to see if I can educate myself real quick on some shit like that. And I'm telling you, like, I take it all serious, everything that I'm hearing, especially when it comes to somebody being in front of me. Like if you stand in front of me and I meet you, they introduce me, you know, or even if you're around me and you're having a conversation and I'm standing there and I'm talking to, let's say, Make It Pop with an event, and I'm hearing two different groups of people next to me, and for some reason I catch wind of something, I start focusing my left ear, feel my left side, and I'm listening, and I'm taking in that information. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a reason why I'm hearing that, and I'm in that space next to you, and I'm hearing something that made me take away from me having my conversation with Make It Pop. Like I'm always focused like that, you know, to say, what's that? That pertains to me. Let me add to that. Or if I hear something, I might even join. Like I'm very good with that, very assertive. Then turn around and be like, wow, that's very interesting. I just heard you guys talking about, and I would just insert myself. And then it's up to you to be like, well, we weren't talking to you, mind your business. And I'll be like, okay, you know, have a good night. And I'll just keep it moving. I'm fine with all that. Tell you.
Because the majority of the stuff that we basically talked about, and it's interesting, right? Because that was before we were in stereo, then jumped into Clubhouse, and like we've been talking about years, like on it, and like now everything. I think you just even some of the stuff that you got done repeating, they're just basically just repeating everything what Jordan was did in the research, like literally deep dive, as well as the stuff that you've been reading, the stuff you talked about. It's not being talked about it now. Some of these individuals. That's interesting. The guy told you something.
I don't know if it's got any correlations, but you know, I looked at this guy's Instagram. I've seen this dude before, but he reminds me of Goldberg from WWE. Do you remember the guy?
Yeah, but like a skinny version, because Goldberg was muscular.
I'm trying to say that he looks like one of those individuals.
Yeah. He's not like I can't remember the Mexican fighter that always wore the face mask. He was always my favorite dude too, and I can't, for the love of me, I can't remember it. But this dude reminds me.
Kind of reminds me of the Warrior. What's his name?
No.
The Ultimate Warrior. Also, which one?
Damn it. I can't remember his name. But there was two guys that fought with masks, and one of them had two different characters that they played in WWE. It was I can't remember his name either. Oh shit. But that's what I see when I look at this guy's videos. Like, you know, I'm not looking at him like playing them, but just browsing through it. That's all I see is freaking Goldstein.
What?
I don't know, that's just my 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth. God bless it. God bless us, damn it.
I mean, politics, half of the people we see on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all that, it's all like one big show. And a lot of the people that were a good source of information have been compromised, unfortunately.
Oh, the world
And
is
what-
a stage. I remember that.
Yeah. It's all scripted. And Dave, what you were saying earlier, I've seen that happen too. Like the people are they're falling prey to the programming, especially the religious programming. I mean, is probably the strongest, and that all of that programming, they don't realize they're feeding the system when they're falling prey to that. Because I always say this. When I realized this, it was like it made so much sense to me that worship energy and sacrifice energy feeds the system. It feeds the parasitic consciousness that hijacked us. So all these people that fall prey to that programming are literally feeding the system that is holding them. They're praising their jailer, and they don't even realize it.
So he's basically what? He's Jewish? He's a Jewish individual? Is that what he is?
So let me tell you, I haven't stepped a foot on my house to like right now, like the whole week. And I'm gonna tell you why, because I'm always transparent about my life. So Sunday, remember they were talking about, and people think this is a joke, but remember how they were talking about that storm coming, on the East Coast and shit like that, and it was so Sunday I go to my best friend's birthday dinner in Manhattan, and it was raining. It was actually raining a lot, not crazy hard, but it was raining. So I get dressed, and I do my hair, because we were going to a restaurant where I couldn't wear a hat and shit. So now I park like a block away from the place, and I'm getting wet from the rain and all that shit. So we have the dinner, we having a great fucking time and shit and have maybe like a few drinks with my best friend. We was there with like 8 of us, and then I leave, and I go. And which I do like once in a blue moon, and I sit there and I just do some work, and all of a sudden the next day, I woke up sneezing a lot, and I couldn't, and I really had my body trained that if I sneeze 3 times in a row, I already know I'm under attack. My body's already telling me, hey, you know the protocol, operation protocol that you got in place it. So I'm like, what the fuck? So for like the next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was having the ultimate sneezing attack. It never got to the point, where people get, what they call sick or the flu, and your body starts hurting, and then you start coughing to the point where you cough and you get a fucking headache. And I was sneezing, and the sneezing started giving me a headache. And I was like, oh, I never say things like, what the fuck is going on? I already know what's going on. I know that they put something, because when I heard the news about that storm and all that, I already knew. I said, oh, these motherfuckers are going to put something, they're going to cloud seed the air and the rain and all that, and the people that are going to be outside and all that, or breathing what they're putting, they're going to start getting sick. It's going to affect some more than others. And fucking, and so I stood in the whole week. I just stood in and I'm taking, the black seed oil, the oil of oregano, taking all this stuff that I take. And and I, I got rid of it. It never got to the point of coughing. It never got to that point. And I tell you, like we're under attack, man. These motherfuckers right here, they do not give a fuck, and they just, I don't trust them at all when it comes to that stuff. And I just try to stay clear. When I know that it's gonna be.
Sage your house?
What happened?
So did you ever sage your house when all that shit?
I actually didn't sage. I didn't sage my house, but I do have sage, but I didn't sage my house. Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because I went that this week, and today's the first day that I still doing my work and my business, because everything's phone calls and emails. So now I'm stepping out to the club because I'm open tonight, and I'm back to 100%. I knew that was gonna happen.
Well, just imagine that, Disco, if you could. So imagine all the people that got affected around there with that geo type of stuff in the air. Which is crazy. What they're gonna, oh yeah, we were talking about coming down to that. I think there's supposed to be an auction, I guess, for the solids, but you know how that shit goes, right? So they're supposed to activate that frequency. I think it's the 8 gigahertz that they're gonna activate, which is basically that sleeper cell shit. Right, but they're gonna, and I think the way it is right now with all the people that are in those crowds, there are people gonna be gonna get sick because they always do that. They have these certain days, right, of praising to these things, and they have those crowds to get in there. There's gonna be some infected people. So we already know they can raise a certain frequency. Whoever has the vaccine in them, they can actually spread it from person to person. So imagine all those people are in there. They're the ones that are non-vaccinated and the vaccinated. There's going to be problems because you see how Chicago, if that's what it really looks like in TV, I'm not saying to believe it, but they actually showed a video where all those people that are there in Chicago, the non-protesters and the other ones, all they need to do is basically transmit a frequency through their cell phone or to one of those individuals to activate them, and it's going to spread to every one of those individuals that is there automatically. That's crazy. And when it comes to them, I think activating, because they have till December 5th for the actual satellites, I think the telecom and whatever, because it's going to be through military. So it's going to be that radar frequency, which is going to be the 8 hertz, which is going to be another frequency, whatever it comes to that tech inside of your body, the transmission, right? It's going to affect some of these people. But I think where it's going to get between here, to I think it's November 21st. One of those days, I think we're going to actually activate that shit already. But I think they're already doing it. But if they put those people in the crowd, you better believe it. It's going to start skyrocketing. They're going to have that cold winter, that virus effect. They're going to shut shit down, which they're already saying that they're going to close all the borders till November 21st, right? You can't go in and out. And the fact is that also those people that have all the by state, like those people that have food stamps and everything, those individuals, they're not going to have for November. So that comes right too close to the cold winter, right? They're literally hit. Everything's coming in on all angles. So if they did put that in the air, you bet that people already got sick or they activated extra shit inside of their body.
Yeah, and then my nephew, I really didn't speak to him all week. I got him working with me, and today I speak to him, and he tells me, I hear him like sneezing, and he's like, he was like, I don't know where this came from, bro, and I've been the last few days, I've been like sneezing a lot, and also this mucus is coming from, that like dolphin drip coming out his nose he's talking about. And he's like, and he was like, I was running around because he serves his main job. He serves papers for.
I think you went into the matrix.
Coughing, and he's weird, and I told him, I said, no, bro, that's not weird. And then I told him what happened to me, the same story I just shared. And he was like, oh, man. He was like, we're fucked. And I was like, do people think I'm playing when I tell them? Like most of the time, I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna stay in my house. you know, or I wear a hat. You know, I have like waterproof hats, you know, and shit like that, or you know, and I do that. You know, my car's in the garage, so I could get in my car and drive to where I gotta go, and I don't need the rain to hit me, but not that day. You know, I got, you know, set my lid up with the rain and all that stuff. And I'm telling you, the very next day in the morning, you know, that shit, I started sneezing a lot, and I was like, oh man.
You would have to find something for your car. Keep in mind your car has a little sponge filter inside. You're gonna have to figure out if you can find something that filtrates it, because if it starts raining and the shit is out there, when the air unit turns on, that's another thing that you need to look into. I read in an article that shit comes right into the air unit vent and it filtrates right in your face. So if you are gonna get that rainy storm or that any fog or anything, you better start changing the filter in it inside the car, and you can change that sponge and change it to something else. See if you can filtrate it, because that's also a thing that they can actually do. People don't understand that it goes through the vent.
Well, there's like no true way around it though.
No.
Unless you, honest to God, got like a mud room, like before you enter your house, where you can dress down, or a decontamination area, you're never gonna get away from it.
Because the more when you go outside, it's already in the air. It's everywhere. I think the articles we read today, it's already in the air, and the things they're just putting them in small portions. So the networks like the cellular, the internet, everything is just transmitting that frequency. And the game that you played this good day with the Call of Duty, part of that as part of that project also. All that stuff in there.
No, they tell you to listen. That new Battlefield game, right? When you see the story of what they're talking about in the Battlefield game, it's crazy. What they're telling you, and how real. You know, they show you, you know, the campaign. I didn't play the whole campaign yet, and you know, so, a lot of the campaign, you know, people posting like, yo, what are they trying to tell us here? Because they got like certain campaigns like in the Bronx, in New York, or in Brooklyn. That's I think the three places where. Right.
Shit.
Right.
Oh shit.
Right, and they tell you the story how there's gonna be like chaos and there's gonna be like civil war. Like they telling you in the fucking game. Video games always have shared what is considered the revelation of the method. You know, the video games have always shared that shit.
Predictive programming.
You think it's gonna start there just today with the perspective of what we're figuring out? Like they told me, like Florida is gonna separate from their own place, and so is Texas. They're about to, since they're banning a lot of the shit that's going on. But of course, like the chemtrails, that shit's still up in the fucking air. They're still doing it regardless, because of course of Elon with his shit. But do you think it will officially start some stuff over there and then and head down, or do you think it's just going to be all evenly in play, because since they're already doing the whole lockdown?
I don't know. I don't know. You know, I would just suggest that.
It's spotty at first.
Well, I think they want to hit it with it or something.
I would say like all the Civil War is going to be spotty at first. And that's coming from a 17th prestige Call of Duty, and I don't even want to talk about Battlefield. And when I saw Battlefield, whatever fucking coming up, I really felt it in my bones. I was like, oh my God, I gotta get back in the game. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. But it's gonna be spot. There's gonna be hot spots. You're gonna have like hot spots like Atlanta. Atlanta's gonna be a hot spot. Like Missouri, no, not Missouri, but Minnesota's gonna be a hot spot. New York's gonna be a hot spot. You're just gonna have. It's gonna be like it's gonna be like the measles at first. It's just they're gonna pop off in these small locations, but then it's gonna radically, overtake everything.
Yeah, just imagine if they did already.
It's gonna take over everything.
Well, that's the Civil War that
Who's gonna fight in the Civil War?
Everybody's going to. If you don't fight, you're gonna die.
Who's gonna fight in the Civil War? There's gonna be 2 sides, 3 sides, 4 sides. How many sides?
Exactly. You're not gonna know who to fight for or who to fight with.
Well, when that shit happens, I know who I'm fighting for. Me. That's what I was saying earlier. Regardless of what they want to call it, right? No matter what they call it, you come bring that shit to my door, I'm going to lay you out. It's going to be that simple. There's no question asked. As soon as they go to the point where it comes out with that state of emergency and they tell people something simple like, every man for themselves, we're fucked. You know, I mean, I think
Thing's gonna activate the broadcasting signal that they're gonna do. Once they play it, that's gonna activate actual individuals that have that shit inside of them.
I mean, for me, it's just.
The Cell. Oh my god. This is creeping me out.
And this is why for me, my job is to every day wake up and enjoy my life. You know, I'm worried about what the news got to say. I'm not focused, you know, on none of that. You know, I wake up and I look forward to just continue doing the things I love to do. That's it. I feel like I'm the best thing I could do for my fellow humans is live my best life and laugh and enjoy myself, because that type of energy out there, and that's the best that I can do. You know, that's all. I'm not taking their side. I'm not taking nobody's side. I'm not taking no religious side. I'm just fortunate that where I live at, I do have at least 8 to 10 friends of mine that live in the complex where, you know, they no nonsense people, as just regular people no nonsense, that if somebody came to our complex to do something, we're going to become Voltron and somebody's going to get hurt, you know, because of this. Individually they can hurt, we can hurt, and collectively we're just going to do some damage. Now, are they all on the same page with me with the things that I know to what they into? No, we are not. We're not on that. Maybe out of the 8 or 10, maybe like 3 of them are, and the rest are just like, you know, just living their life. They just no nonsense. They live good lives and shit like that, and they're not having it. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna let nobody come and take away from their plate, especially if they don't know you. So I'm grateful for that, because even though when we're together, I share information with them, and they be like, you know, here comes conspiracy, you know, and still, you know, one thing we all have in common that we converse about is that if something ever goes left, that we watch each other and just sure that we good, worst case scenario, you know. So that's a benefit that I have, because, you know, you gotta know your neighbor, you know. And I'm pretty sure there's the neighbor on my right and the neighbor, I don't have no neighbor to my left, and my neighbor across from me in the complex, you know, they're mad cool, and I'm pretty sure I could get them on board, you know, because we speak all the time and we bug out, you know, in our pool in the summer and shit like that, and they cool. So I'm pretty sure they'll be on board. So I didn't even count them, you know, as part of the group. So, you know, whenever this happens, I don't look forward to it. You know, listen, people get it wrong when I speak here. You know, it would be nice if there was the savior, which I know there's not. It would be nice if there was a savior. It would be nice if there was a mothership that came from another planet that was an amazing civilization. Say, hey, they were gonna been searching this for 27, 28 years now. That proves that there's a second coming to a false individual. There's no data on that for me. And then there's no data on this God that people are praising, that has been a jealous God, that's been allowing and being a grand participant of all the ignorance that's been happening here, that people are praying to in all these Bibles, you know, and I don't have time for none of that. You know, I know there's a source of creation. I know there's a source, which I call light, sound, and geometry, and I know I am an aspect of that source, and that's it. And I'm just gonna keep it moving. I'm fine with that. It works for me. My life is good. I don't live above my means, and I do very well for myself. I'm not running around here taking advantage of people and doing the most. I don't do that because it takes away from the energy that I created in order so my paradigm could connect me to things that I need. So I know the trick. I kind of learned the trick. I'm working on mastering the trick. So I just don't have time for that shit. I don't.
So you're agnostic. You believe in
Well,
power.
I know that I am a high power, that there definitely is. It's like atheism. I don't understand atheism. When people tell me, I got a lot of people that I know that tell me, oh, you're an atheist. And I say, I'm not into atheism. Atheists, to me, they're stupid. Like how you're gonna tell me there's no creator when your mother created you. You came out of her womb. So she's your creator at that point. So there is a creator. So there's no reason for people to even be atheists. And as far as being Gnostic just means knowledge. It just means knowing a better truth than that's what's out there, and that's just to me just another title. It doesn't mean that that's the absolute truth. I've researched the Gnostics. I know what they're talking about, and it does make a lot of sense. A lot of things that they say, because they say, yeah, you got the power, bro. Like I don't know what people are talking about and all that. I can vibe with that because everything has some truth. And there's a greater information that supersedes them. What that is, I don't know. I'm pretty sure there is.
Well,
I just don't. Go ahead.
And agnostic are two different.
Oh, okay.
Gnostic,
So what is agnostic?
Gnostic means you are the creator. Agnostic means you acknowledge that there's a higher creator.
Oh. So if I have to think about that, agnostic, I get it. Yeah. Well, listen, I don't know if just because I will say that there is a higher creator that I would be agnostic. I would just be acknowledging that it would make sense to me because my mother created me. She was intimate with my father. Here I am. And things were created before me. So there is a powerful creation is powerful and it's creating things. So there is a power, some type of thought that we fragment from that allows us to experience, or I don't know if allow us is the word, to save, and I'm going to use that loosely. So there is something, and I wouldn't categorize myself as being agnostic because I can acknowledge that. It's just me being intelligent enough to acknowledge something that makes sense. I don't have to follow anything else of them. The Bible says, love thy neighbor, appreciate, just be great. And I respect that the Bible says. That doesn't mean I'm a Bible thumper, so because I know that I look forward to being a great person and being good to people. I don't need the Bible to tell me that.
You need a book to tell you what's right or wrong. And I don't even like titles, because to me titles are part of the system. So if somebody asks me what I am, I'm not going to give them a title, because that's falling prey to more programming. It's like I'm a wildlife biologist, and the way I look at creation and the creator is, when like a mommy feral cat has her kittens, she teaches them everything they need to do to be on their own in the wild. And when she feels that she's done her job, she lets them go. She doesn't say, okay, I'm going to come back to you and save you down the road. It's like, no, I equipped you. You're ready to go. You don't, you can handle things now. And that's how I feel like our creator. He equipped us to deal with whatever we need to deal with. And he didn't make us weak and in need of saving and all that. That's as far as I'm concerned, that's all programming, so that people aren't looking within and figuring out what they need to do. Instead, they're waiting for someone else to help them. Savior programming. So That's the way I look at it. I look at nature, and I figure that's probably how our creation, took place.
So on another note, I saw a video the other day of, I don't know if it was two girls or something like that, two girls and a guy, and they were talking. They were with this, I don't know where they was at, but they were with these two pilots or something, and one of the pilots, they were just stating how he's been a pilot for like 40 years or some shit like that. And they asked the pilot, they tell him, they were like, how long you been flying? He was like 40 years. And then they tell him so, a question to you, the world is round or flat? He said, absolutely flat. He said, they don't want us to say it, it is absolutely flat. And this is not like a Sora 2 type of thing.
I saw that thing.
So, yeah, I just been seeing it. I mean, I personally spoke to a pilot my goddamn self, a few pilots that have told me the same thing. A couple of them don't say anything, but they laugh. And once again, though, the funny thing, just going to that, because we're talking about things that's going on, because one of the reasons why I tell people that we are experiencing what we're experiencing is because we are in a controlled environment. We are in a controlled environment that allows this stupid shit to happen. Because when you don't want people to know that there's, we already know that to some degree you can't even go to certain parts of what people think. If we're on a globe, there's certain parts of the globe you can't go to. You know what I'm saying? You just can't run up into any country without documentation. So we already know that. You know what I'm saying? You need a passport, you need certain identification just to go certain places. No, but not even Antarctica. I'm not even talking about Antarctica. We know that there's islands that exist that you cannot even go to, that you don't even know that exist on a globe scale if we were on a globe. So these are just facts. So I tell people, like, what makes you think, that there's not extra lands where, if you want to control people, and this is why I tell people there's a greater force that people are not compartmentalizing here, that they don't want people to know. Like, even these elitists that we talk about, these bloodlines, they are control themselves. They got a lot of leeway, because they're able to run around on this realm, and have a lot of whatever you think a lot is, maybe because they own a lot of land, they got a lot of houses, and they're able to do a lot of different shit, and they still fear and are in control of a superior civilization that has handed them the keys and say, hey, listen, this is just what it is. If you don't do this, then we just take you out and we'll put somebody that gets it, and shit like that. So this, I know that there's a lot of data on this. There's data to this, and I'm telling you, it's very wild what's happening out here. Like, it's very layered to what's happening here that people have no clue. And that's why I say, yo, just live your life, man, because people are really arguing about nothing. It's really bad what they're doing here in order to siphon the energy. And how amazing it would be, though, if you can actually go past the ice wall and they got rid of the ice wall and you could see all the greenery from the original ancient maps that existed, and be able to go to other realms and experience, other civilizations that have been here maybe a million more years than what human beings will consider to be human beings been here, that have technology that's way more advanced, that's actually technology that is actually plays a role in helping that civilization live a long time and to do, great things, not suppressed like we are, that technology is being used in order to, in reverse, to attack us, to control us, to dictate, our well-being type shit, so that I always have looked forward to that for a long time. It just seems like it's not happening.
Did y'all hear that sound?
What, when I'm talking?
No, it was while you talked. You were mid-sentence, and all of a sudden there was a.
It sounds like what, humming?
Yeah. This This is
That's
not.
probably,
This is this is not secure line anymore.
no, they might be my car. It might be my car because I got an electric car for the hell of it to drive around in proximity.
I like your speed. You're speaking good words. I got to get out of here.
Yeah. Alrighty, Rusty.
Yeah, Rusty, later.
Well, if you see you, bye.
Bye, Rusty. I mean, it's just a matter of time when everything just comes into play, I think. Especially that, I think when you started talking about the, back then when you were talking about the, what do you call it, the Bloomington project, I think it's kind of like, you know what I think it is, Sister Babe? I think it's kind of like, you know, like the mosquito trap, where they would use, you know, when you talked about the voice of the skull, it's kind of the same thing, the hologram, right? To get them convinced to come outside and then put thoughts in their head, and this is where they would get them, wouldn't it?